Productivity is such a challenge for so many people, and it's key that it's a huge industry because there are more productivity apps out there than I probably think anything else. But what does productivity mean, and why is it important, and why do people struggle with it? And how do people manage it? So productivity is the effectiveness of getting things done. One of the things that we often put off is getting things done. You will not be the only person to procrastinate a lot of things. We've all been there, a lot. Anyway, trying to get things done is a balance. You want to try and get as much done as possible, but you also don't want to burn yourself out. Managing those is incredibly difficult, and also, what's the right stuff to do? We can be busy every single day, but are they the right things that we should be doing, and are they going to move ourselves forwards in the way that we truly want to do? These are all questions that I ask myself a lot, and so I came up with a system to help myself manage these things better, and as such, I thought I'd share it with you. It's a fairly simple concept, but I'm going to go to the whiteboard to really explain it. But first, I want to explain the concept. The concept is simple. It's about categorizing and breaking down all the things you do, and then putting some sort of weight behind them to understand which things you should do and which things you shouldn't, and which etc. etc. So in doing so, it helps you, and it's not about trying to do as much as you can in a day. It's about how can you load your day with the right things to make you the most productive for that day, and also at the same time the most impactful to you too. So let's jump to the whiteboard, and I'm going to explain exactly how I break down all of my tasks within my day to make me as productive as possible. Meet my whiteboard. This is where I demonstrate all things visually. If you haven't got a whiteboard, it's a winner. So these are the things that I categorize my tasks every single day. And I have to caveat this as well, is I put everything on there. It doesn't matter if it's dishwashing, it's doing my washing, it's doing all my tasks at work, it's doing any of my side hustle stuff. Anything in my life I try and put on my to-do list because it really helps me, and you'll see why. Now, let's look at the categories. Now I break all of my tasks down by impact, effort, risk, and urgency. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tasks on the side here so you can see the different tasks that are there, how I categorize them, and I'll explain each category as I do. Now, because I love my different color pens, I've color coded these, and these are my tasks. I've gone dishwasher because I think it's a really good one to illustrate some of the different categories. Finish app design, record YouTube video, edit YouTube video, 20-kilometer bike ride, and respond to work emails. So I've done them in all different colors so you can see the difference between some of the activities and some of the different tasks. Now, how do I break these down? Let's first look at impact. So understanding the impact is the understanding how much it's going to move things forward for you. And all of these things we are trying to assume at the same time. We don't truly know these things, we just at the time. So it's your best guess at that point. I'm not saying that this is going to be perfect, but you can adjust these over time as you start to learn whether they are the most impactful things or not. And one of the things I would say is don't have huge things in here like launch my startup, because there are so many different tasks involved in that, it just makes it impossible to do. So being as granular as you can makes a big impact on how you can assess these. So looking at impact. So I know, for example, I'll do these all in red, that the impact of doing the dishwasher for me is going to be low. So I'm going to put a low one on impact. And that's a down arrow if you didn't know. So low impact. Finish app design, I'm going to go, okay, that's fairly high impact. It's for client work, it's big impact, it should really be done. Recording YouTube video, that's probably going to be a decent impact on recording and editing, assuming that anyone ever watches it. But you know what I mean. Bike ride. So this is where things get interesting as well, because bike ride, you're like, is it going to have a big impact? But it does actually have, I'd say, a bigger impact than we think mentally. It helps us be more productive, it helps us clear our mind, better for mental health. So I'm actually going to put that as decent impact. Respond to work emails. It won't have a huge impact. It's needed to be done, but it won't change my life. So I'm going to put that as a medium. A middle ground. Next, we're going to look at effort. because again, they may have big impact, but what's the effort of them in the first place? And we go, okay, well, there's actual negligible effort in doing the dishwasher. If there is, then there's probably something wrong with you. App design, yes, there's actually quite a high effort in that, because that involves quite a lot of my time and a lot of my work. Same with recording and editing a YouTube video. They're actually fairly involved and take quite a lot of my mental effort and a lot of my time. 20k bike ride, yes, that's a pretty big effort as well. Responding to emails though, it's not really any effort at all. Not much there, so not much effort. These are important as well, and you'll see why in a minute when we've categorized and planned all of this stuff out. Next we have risk, and risk is one of those ones where you say, what is the risk of me not doing it? Again, risk of me not doing the dishwasher is pretty low, unless it's really in a situation. It's not, it's pretty low of me not doing it. Risk of me not doing my app design, well, client work, it's fairly important, so that's quite a high risk. Risk of me not doing the YouTube video, to be honest, it's not a huge risk most of the time. I could not do it. It's not great, but it's not a huge risk. So recording and editing YouTube video, I'm gonna go medium because it's not a massive risk. Yeah, I just probably should do it. I need to do it. And the risk of not doing a bike ride, there is no real risk involved in that. But again, I could risk my sanity, and I know that that's not good for my health, but it's technically a low risk. Responding to work emails, again, the risk, if I don't respond to them forever, it might be a problem, but right now, the risk I'd put there. And you could classify these completely different because your jobs might be completely different, but I'm trying to illustrate what I'm doing and how it works with this. So we'll move straight on to urgency. You think, why have you got risk and urgency? They play really well together, and I'll show you why. Because the dishwasher, zero urgency there. Again, unless there's something that is really terribly wrong, the dishwasher shouldn't be an urgent thing. However, if you had an unpaid bill, the risk of not paying that bill could be a €500 fine. But there might be more pressing things, so what's the urgency of that? It's like, well, I know that it's there, but I've got another month to pay it, so is it urgent right now compared to some other things, maybe client work? You have to judge these, you see, so not paying an overdue bill, it has a big risk attached to it, and it also has urgency, because if it's completely overdue and you're going to get charged the next day, urgency is high. But with a lot of these things, they may not be that urgent. But say with client work, for example, we'll take that one and say, actually, that's due soon. So urgency is quite high with that one. Now, editing YouTube video, urgency, only if I haven't produced one and I'm really up against it. The urgency for that is still fairly low. Oh, wrong color. So red for that one, red for editing. Bike ride, there's no real urgency in that. And again, when it comes to responding to your work emails, you may have a situation where you haven't responded to those work emails in quite a long time. And so that then means that the urgency is then higher than it was previously. So the longer you put these things off, and the longer that task on these side, all of these tasks stay on the board or stay within your to-do list, the more urgent they get if you put them off. But right now for me, it's not real. I'm gonna put a medium on it because again, I can't really leave it out forever. But right now it hasn't got to the point where it's tipped over to be something urgent. Now, we've classified all of our tasks. If we have all this classification, then surely we should just finish the app design first. Surely that just makes sense. And then we go, okay, well, impact is high on these, so we should really just do all these and leave the rest. And that's the logical answer, and it really is. But the way most of our minds work and the way that a lot of us are wired is that when something is a high effort, it's very difficult to start, so we procrastinate it. We find ourselves just not doing the work. And what do we do in the meantime? Nothing. We need to kickstart ourselves. We could just be idly scrolling. Why? No real reason. We're just procrastinating because we know that that's a fair effort and we don't technically want to jump into it right now. But the best way I've found to trick this is to do some of the complete low effort things, low effort, low impact first. You get that dopamine out of it. So I call them dopamine builders because you can do some easy dopamine builders, and this is just a list of a few tasks, but during your day you will have a number of tasks in there. So if you can get out the way in the morning, first thing you get up, this is why I make my bed every day. This is why every day I make sure I make my bed. It's one of those very simple tasks that is like this: low effort, low impact, low risk, low urgency. But what does it give you? It gives you the sense of achievement that you've done something. So as soon as you start ticking these things off your list, you are 5 tasks down for the day already. That is a huge head start, which gives you enough to be able to start going into some of these more medium impact, medium effort things. And so I always try and pick out one high impact, high effort thing throughout my day. And then for the rest of it, I will spread out the different things. Of course, if there are high urgency things in there as well, and high risk things in there as well, I will definitely put some of those in there because you kind of need to. But again, I won't put them the first thing. I always put low effort, low impact, low urgency. I put some of these dopamine builders right at the beginning purely to kickstart my day, kickstart my productivity. And this system works beautifully for me. You don't even technically need to write it down. You can just manually do it in your head if you so choose to. But it makes a huge difference to truly understand this sort of process and how you can gamify your own day to be more productive. And this for me is a huge win-win-win when you look at how you can be productive in a day. Often people say to me, how do you achieve so many things within a day? And it's like, well, because I try and game my way through my day. It helps me with productivity, and it just helps me achieve more and avoid burnout at the same time. So making sure I get things in like my bike ride, the things that actually help ground me, get a bit of balance, I will mix those in there as well because they are valuable for me, and I've learned to know that. But you can achieve so much more following a process like this. I'm sharing this with you because a number of people have asked me about how I do these sorts of things, how I plan my days, how I achieve so much in a day, and this is my process. There's nothing crazy about it. I just have my 4 categories. I classify the tasks in that way, and that's it. Simple. Like I said, a number of people have asked me about this before. I just wanted to share it with you guys. There are huge amounts of things out on the internet, apps, whatever, to help you with productivity. But this, for me, I had never seen before, and it was something that I created that does truly help me to organize my day, my tasks, and myself to be the most productive I can. Hopefully this has helped you. Please consider joining the channel. There's a ton of information behind the scenes that I'm creating to help you guys build your own business and create a new life for yourselves. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment, whatever system you use to stay productive, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.